Good morning, students, or good afternoon, whenever you're watching this video. Today we're going to do a quick little lesson about Chapter 1, Lesson 1 in Journeys. So all of you have your Journeys textbook at home now, or not Journeys, I'm sorry, Go Math. Okay, we're doing Go Math. I'm sorry. My mind is all over the place. So I need for you to get your Go Math workbook. It is the big workbook, not the little skinny one. The big Go Math workbook is purple. And I would like for you to turn to page 7. And it looks like this. Okay, page 7. Now we're not going to do all of these problems together, but we're going to just kind of do some of them just like we normally would in class. And then you're going to do a seesaw activity on your own in a little bit. Today we're talking about even and odd numbers. Okay, so I want you to go get this. Go get that page. You do not have to tear it out. You can tear it out if you want to, but you don't have to. So I'm going to just pause this video while you go get that. Okay? All right, I'm going to assume that you all have it now. So at the top, number 1, it says complete the addition sentences to show the commutative property of addition. All right, so we're not really going to be doing much with this property of addition, but it is really important for you to know because it's a lot of it is, I'm sure you already know already. So the commutative property of addition is when we have, let's see, 5 plus 2 equals, this is where I would normally have the class answer, and now I'm all by myself. I would normally say, everyone would say 7, okay? And the commutative property of addition tells us that you can reverse these numbers and it will be the same. So 2 plus 5 also equals 7. Okay? So another example is if we had, let's say, 6 plus 3. Take a moment to figure out what 6 plus 3 is. That's 9. And then the commutative property of addition tells us that if you flip-flop these numbers, it will still be the same. So 3 plus 6, and the sum is still 9. Now remember, the sum of a problem is the answer to an addition problem, okay? Now, the commutative property of addition will not work. It does not work with subtraction, okay? That's very important to remember because, for example, if we have 10 or 15 minus 2, 15 minus 2 is, I'm going to give you some time to think about that. That's 13. And if we flip-flop the 15 and the 2 and do 2 minus 15, is that 13? No, right? If you have 2 donuts, you cannot eat 15. So you can't even do that, all right? So the commutative property of addition only works with addition, and that is when we just flip-flop the numbers. Okay, so 1 plus 2 equals 3, and 2 plus 1 equals 3. Okay, so we are just flip-flopping. All right, so for the commutative property of addition here, it says 3 plus blank equals blank. And then the next one says 4 plus blank equals blank. I'm just looking at problem 1. Okay? So if we have, I'm going to stand up because right now, on my knees, so I'm going to kind of stand you up. Hopefully you can still see it. All right, there we go. So on number 1, we have 3 plus blank equals blank. 4 plus blank equals blank. They want us to use 3 and 4 for these problems, okay? So go ahead and write 4 in here, 3 plus 4. And think to yourself what 3 plus 4 equals. That equals 7. Now, if we flip-flop, then the 4 will go first. So we do 4 plus, what do we think? 3 because we're flip-flopping, and that also equals 7. Okay? That's the commutative property of addition. We're going to go ahead and skip numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and we're just going to go ahead and talk about some even and odd numbers right now. So I just want you to put your worksheet down, okay? We're going to talk about even and odd. Even and odd numbers are extremely important to know, and it is extremely simple as long as you pay attention and you keep practicing. All right, so let's start with the number 4, okay? I'm going to make 4 dots. If you have your whiteboard with you, then you can also make 4 dots with me. Okay, so I have 4 dots there on the board. Now, an even number means that we can group a number up into 2s, okay, into pairs, so they can be grouped up into 2. So I'm going to group these 4 dots up into 2s, okay? There's one group of 2. There's 2 groups of 2. Is there any left over? No, there's none left over. So 4 is an even number. All right, now, whenever a number ends in 4 in the ones place, that means that it is an even number. So for example, 84, we don't want to draw out 84 dots and group them up into 2s, do we? I sure don't. That would take a long time. But we have a 4 in the ones place, okay? And we just did the little activity here. We had 4 dots, and we circled them up in groups of 2. So as long as the ones place number is a 4, then it is an even number. So 84 is an even number. 24 is an even number. Any number that ends in 4. 134 is an even number. Those are all even numbers because they all end in 4. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little trick. Numbers that end in 2, 4, 6, and 8 are all even numbers, and 0. Okay, so 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Any number that ends in these numbers, any number that ends in them, is an even number, okay? Because they can be grouped evenly in groups of 2. So let's do, for example, the number 16. If you have your whiteboard, or just a piece of paper would work, I want you to put, let's do X's this time, 16 X's. All right, there's my 16 X's. And I'm going to try to group them into 2s, okay? So do it with me. There's one group of 2. Can't really probably see that, can you? Let's do pink instead of red. There's one group of 2. I'll bring you a little bit closer. 2 groups of 2. There's another group of 2, another group of 2, another group of 2, another group of 2, and another group of 2. Oh my goodness! The number 16 is an even number because it can be grouped up into 2s. And it ends in a 6. So we didn't even really need to draw the X's because any number that ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8 are even. Let's do the number 18. So let's go ahead and draw 18 X's. Now on your whiteboard or your piece of paper, I want you to try to group up these X's into 2s so we can see if 18 is an even number. So I'm going to give you some time to do that right now. Okay, hopefully you have grouped them up into groups of 2. So let's do that now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you don't have one for this, you can just do that. There's another group of 2, group of 2, group of 2, group of 2, and a group of 2. Oh my goodness! That could evenly be grouped up in groups of 2. So 18 is an even number, and it ends in 8. Okay, right? An 8 is in the ones place. So we already knew it was an even number. Now, let's do the number 15. Let's draw 15 x's. There's my 15 x's. Let's try to group these up into groups of 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no! There's an x that's left all alone. We don't have any x to pair it up with. It's by itself. So you know what that means? This 15 is an odd number. 15 cannot be grouped up in groups of 2s because there's going to be 1 left over. So that means that any number that ends in 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, all of those numbers are odd. So any number that ends in any of these numbers is odd. And 15 ends in a 5. So that is why 15 is odd. Let's do another practice problem. Let's do the number 21. Let's make a lot of x's. Okay, so I want you to do this with me on your whiteboard or your piece of paper. So we're going to do 21. There's my 21 x's. I'll give you some time to keep writing down yours. See how I put them in nice rows? They're clearly right on top of each other. That's going to be really important when we start learning about multiplication. So if you want to be one step ahead, then you should make your x's really, really nicely right on top of one another. Okay? So now, let's group them up in groups of 2 and see if 21 is an even or odd. What do you think it's going to be? Do you think it will be even or odd? Let's find out. Here's a group of 2. There's a group of 2. I'm just circling all the groups of 2, and I would love for you to do this with me on your own whiteboard or paper. And I'm pairing up all of the x's. Oh no, I have 1 x that's all alone. He can't be paired up. He has nobody to be paired up with. So what does that mean? Normally this is when I would call on somebody to raise their hand. What does that mean? It means that 21 is an odd number because 21 has a 1 in the ones place. Okay, and we said up here that any number that ends in 1 is odd. So that is why 21 is odd, and it cannot be grouped up evenly into groups of 2. Okay, we can only get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups of 2, and then 1 left over. So 21 is an odd number. All right, so if let's do a couple more problems, but we're not going to draw x's this time. We're going to work with bigger numbers. Let's let's do the number 74. Do you think 74 is even or odd, and why? I want you to think to yourself, pretend that you are talking to me, and I want you to tell me why 74 is either an even number or an odd number, and why you think that. Okay, now the correct answer should be 74 is an even number because it has a 4 in the ones place. And we said a 4 can evenly be grouped up in groups of 2. So any number that ends in a 4 is even. Even if we had 174, there's still a 4 in the ones place. So 174 is still even. Even if you had 1,174, as long as it ends in a 4, it's even. Same thing as if it ends in a 0, a 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, let's do the number 38. Do you think 38 is an even or an odd number? Why? Look to see what number it has in the ones place. Well, if you're thinking that it has an 8 in the ones place, and the number 8 is an even number, just like we said up here, right? 8 can evenly be grouped up in 2s. If I have 8 dots, or X's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I can evenly group them up in groups of 2. That's why 8 is an even number, and any number that ends in 8, any number with 8 in the ones place is an even number. So 38 is also even. Okay? Capiche? Normally you'd say capiche. All right. Let's do a couple more. I know this is kind of long, but you know what? We're still working with school stuff, even if we're not in school. It doesn't mean that things are going to be any shorter than they would be at school, okay? Because I still want you to keep working. So let's do the number 65. Look to see what number is in the ones place, and then think to yourself, can that number be grouped up evenly in 2s or not? There is a 5 in the ones place. Can 5 be grouped up evenly? Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Groups of 2. Oh no, I have one lone X all alone by himself. So that means that 5 is an odd number, just like we wrote up here. Okay? And 65 then would be an odd number because it ends in 5 in the ones place. Okay? Let's do the number 37. We don't want to draw 37 dots or X's, right? So let's look to see what number is in the ones place. And I want you to think, is 37 an even number or an odd number, and why? Well, if you're thinking the correct answer, then you would say that 7, or 37, is an odd number because it ends in 7. And 7 cannot be grouped up evenly. Okay? If we draw 7 X's and try to group them up evenly in groups of 2s, they always have to be in groups of 2s. Oh, there's one X all alone by himself, and he can't be grouped up. So that means that 37 is an odd number because it ends in 7. Okay? So what you're going to do is an activity on Seesaw now with even and odd numbers. And if you need to, draw your X's for the number that's in the ones place. Okay? Keep in mind this information. You might want to write that down. And I would absolutely love, if you are confused, you can either do some different things. You have some choices. You can, number 1, rewatch this video, okay? Because sometimes when we don't understand something the first time around, it takes a couple times to learn it, okay? So you might be like, Ms. Johnson, I'm so confused. Well, I would really recommend that you rewatch this video then. Now, if you still don't understand it after that, I would love if you could then email me, okay, or have your parent contact me, and then I can help you even more, okay? So I miss you all so much. I wish you were here with me. It is not the same without you at all, okay? It's actually really boring without you. Good luck on the seesaw assignment, and thank you for joining me with our math lesson today. Bye, guys.